Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to the Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. And I don't know. I just need to. Currently, I need to sleep to recuperate. My sleeping pattern has been I had messed up my own sleeping pattern as it is, and I'm trying to adjust it so it will be more of a beauty sleep for me. Also, there are things I have to do, like clean up my language, things like I keep saying, punctuating my statements with and then I don't know. Those three sentences or those three expressions, I believe they need to go. That means I'm going to be pausing a lot when I talk, and to make sure that I remove some vocabs from my expression that I believe isn't supposed to be there. That being said, I want to talk about older women being comfortable dating and marrying younger men openly, not the affairs, not behind the walls, behind closed doors thing, but something you do without feeling ashamed. And I also want to talk about the myths or the conceptions, or is it misconceptions now, of marrying a younger man. Now, I've seen a few situations where women missed out on love because the man was younger than them. Now, when I say younger, please understand, I'm not talking about robbing the cradle. I'm not talking about dating a teenager. That one is a child, not a younger man. So let's be clear. That is a child, not a younger man. A man starts from the age of 20. That is legally. But dateable, it should start from age of 24. I believe 24 is okay. From the age of 24 upwards, I think it's fine. Of course, it's not impossible that a 22-year-old will be matured, but we have to be very, very careful so this doesn't become a scandal beyond what it has been called. I mean, as long as the man is younger than you, is always deemed a scandal. There are two popular examples. There is the one of Priyanka Chopra, Jonas now. Priyanka Chopra, Jonas. I believe that's her husband's name. Can't remember how old her husband is, but the guy is in his 20s and she is in her 30s, if not more. But let me not talk about what I'm not certain of, but one thing is certain: there is an age gap between the couple. That is not necessarily a gap, but for those looking in, it is a gap. But since the guy is of legal age and an adult, I really don't see what the problem is. And it so happens that older men had a trade with younger men. They decided to take the immaturity, not all of them, of course, but some of them decided to take the immaturity of younger men that's supposed to be a part of a younger man's life. And while the younger men took the responsibility, you hear some of them speak and you are like, wow, what maturity. So, what are these myths? One is what I just mentioned. He's not matured. Now, when they say he's not matured, they mean psychologically, mostly, which includes mental and emotional. So they feel that it's like a conception, really. It's not proven. It's not something that, it's a presumed mindset. So a woman will not give a younger man a chance because he's not matured. Like, you haven't even spoken to the guy, but you just hear. In fact, sometimes some women have actually spoken to these men. They've talked to them, and they're like, oh, wonderful, fantastic, and it's going well. Then they find out his age and they backtrack. And I feel like conking some of these women on their head, like, minus like again. I feel like knocking them on the head, thinking, what is the matter with you? One more thing that is a myth, if you're into myths and assumptions, is men your age, especially if you're pushing 30, you're already in your 30s, that men your age are not men your age or your age brackets, or men between the age of 35, from the age of 35 upwards, don't seem to know how to please their age group sexually. But they seem to be very prolific at the activity when it comes to women younger than them, which is not a problem a woman will face if she's with a younger man. Now understand, I am not talking about sex outside marriage, please. I'm not talking about sex outside, I'm not talking about sex outside marriage, period. But sex is something that is part of marriage, and it should be talked about before marriage. So when I talk about sex, I'm not advocating for sex before or outside marriage. That being said, that is a myth. It might not be true in all cases. It might not even be true at all. But if we're talking about assumptions and all that, it's assumed that a younger man is stronger. And that will also translate to being that he is stronger sexually as well. Like, his libido is high. But it could also happen that if he's in his 30s, his libido might not be that high. I don't know. There is something about a younger woman that excites a man more than a woman his age. So they might just end up being two sexually frustrated people. Of course, that is if they marry for the wrong reasons, or they are not, or they are not whole themselves. Perhaps maybe there is a trauma in their childhood, or a conception or a misconception they had before getting married, and then they got married and it didn't turn out as they ought to. That being said, maturity is not how old. There are some people that are naturally gifted when it comes to maturity. They come, they are born prepared. They are born matured. There are some people like that. And there are some people who are early achievers or early maturers, if you may. So when they are early achievers and early maturers, they achieve things very quickly. What takes people a long time, maybe it takes them into their 30s before they achieve. By the time they're 20, they have already achieved half of those things. There are some professors in their 20s, as hard as it is to believe. There are some professors in their 20s. So, also, to break that myth of maturity and all whatnot, before, let's say about 30, 40, about 50 years ago, about that time, people were marrying very young. The difference, though, is that it's young people marrying one another. You have 20-year-olds marrying 18-year-olds. You have people between the age of 18 to 25 getting married, already started a family. So they grew up, they grew together. Of course, there are a lot who grew apart, but you hear a lot of 50th, 60th wedding anniversaries, and it's because most of them married young. Then again, the expectation for maybe not the expectation, but the cost of living, it hasn't risen to this point. The cost of living hasn't risen to this point. There was once you have land, or you're an apprentice, or you're a practitioner, like there was always something you can do. Whether you're a rancher, or you're a farmer, or you're an artisan, those were the major jobs. Of course, there were, the medicals, the law, but they were not as common as it is right now. It's like we have less and less artisans, and more we have less blue-collared people than we have white-collared people. Unlike before, when a white-collar job was not common, people were mostly artisans. They just go to school to learn how to read, how to write, and how to do math. That's all. Once they have that basic training, it's what they use in handling business, like writing of receipts, writing invoices, calculating, keeping an accounting book. That was what they needed education for. Once they finish, so there is a lot put into the primary education, because the primary education is understood to teach people how to be independent. So they teach them everything they need to survive in a business, everything they need to handle a business and handle it well and not incur losses, and to be able to read and not get cheated or something. So once you're earning a living, there wasn't this clamor for lavish lifestyle. The community, it was a communal living. So the community were the ones who practically organized weddings. Unlike now, where it is the bride and the groom that will feed everybody, house everybody. They used the town square. They used the barn. Barn is where animals are kept, especially during winter. It's also where they keep animal food and stuff. So they just clear out the barn. That was like the reception hall of those days in some parts of the world. That was the public reception hall. The person with the largest barn knows that when we are going to be having community parties, this is where we are going to be using. They either use that, or they use the church, or they use the town hall if they have one, if they have grown to that point where they have built their own town hall. But usually the church is what is used for reception, for town halls, or the band. Somebody who has a huge band that can contain everybody. And everybody will come, they will come in their best, and they will bring food. They will bring food and gifts. So a wedding is a community affair. For the community, they know that they are helping a new family. They are helping people start their families. So they try not to burden them. They try to encourage them. So people tend to marry early. So by the time the wedding is over, there is a lot of food to last for a week. So the bride doesn't need to cook. Well, in those days, it was the job of the bride to cook in her new home. But the bride didn't need to cook because there'll be a lot of food left. Not left over like that, and people will bring gifts, things to decorate the house. You find women associations, women groups in churches and in the community who will come and help decorate the house. They will get curtains, they will get rugs, homemade stuff, handmade rather stuff, rugs, tapestries, things that would make the home an attractive place to live. They will be the ones to come and set it up as a gift to the new couple who is starting their lives. The men will gather together and maybe upgrade the career of the new groom. If he's a farmer, they would help him with barn raising. They call it barn raising. Now I know I'm speaking in international terms right now because, forgive me, I read a lot of American and European, mostly American pariah historicals. So yeah, that is the angle. I saw a lot of that where there was a barn raising. So it's not as if they had money, and everybody knew that. It wasn't a shameful thing that they didn't have money, and it wasn't a big deal. So everybody just, to remove the pressure of what would we feed the guests when we are getting married. No, we will come with our food, don't worry. And everybody will come with their best. Every woman in the community is known for one particular dish or the other. So it is that her signature dish that she will come with to the wedding. And they will gather everything together. They have this food table set up already. So as they are coming in with the food, they put the food on the table. By the time the wedding is over, my God, there is good measure pressed down, shaking together and running over when it comes to food. So people will know, oh, this is Mrs. Parker's signature apple pie. Oh, this is Mrs. or Miss Hampton's signature salad or something. I don't know. Everybody just comes and, after, when it's time to eat, they go and dish. They just go to the food stand and eat together, and it's cool. But now it's no longer a community like that. It's each person to their own and to pull your own weight, where you are strong enough to take care of yourself, but also strong enough to take care of a family by yourself, is tough, and it takes years. And that's one of the reasons why there is more of marrying late than marrying early. But that's not where I was really trying to go before. Where I'm going is, if you're older already, like when I say older, I mean you're in your 30s, open your mind. I'm not saying lower your standards though. There is lowering of standard, and there are just some rules that don't matter, like, oh, younger men are immature. That shouldn't even be the topic of discussion. Sometimes women are the ones who are narrowing their own options. There are many options, from tribe to nationality. Some people want to marry somebody from a particular group of tribes. How about thinking that maybe, what if he's not even from a tribe now, he's from another continent, for example? How about that? Like, open your mind to the fact that maybe you can meet somebody who is from another continent, from another country. That expands your choices. Then age brackets, remove age brackets from it. As long as you're not robbing a cradle or the old people's home, I'm sorry for saying that, but as long as you're not going to the nursery and the old people's home to go and snatch people to marry, I think between the cradle, between the nursery and old people's home, there are so many options within that gap. What you just have to think about, let me put it to you this way. If a man has everything you need, and then some more, like he has everything you need, and then there is now there are extras as well that you didn't even think you needed, but he has it. But the only problem he has is that he's younger than you. Are you telling me you're going to forfeit that relationship? Like, not only does he tick all the boxes, he likes you. In fact, he has even confessed that he loves you. And he's sincere and he's honest. He's tested and proven. And all you want to talk about is that he's younger. You don't have nothing else is wrong with the man. No. It's just that he's younger. Then, my sister, I don't think you are serious about having a relationship. Please, if you find such men and you don't want, let some of us know. I want to check something. Like we say, so that I will check something. Either for myself or some of my other sisters who, frankly, are not going to be looking at the age. If you don't want him, you can recommend him to someone else who is in need of a husband. At the end of the day, myth or not, one thing you know you're going to get is, number one, I've noticed that older women. All right, so I went on a break, and then I was talking about the myths, misconceptions, and assumptions of marrying a younger man. And I think we just need to purge ourselves of some mindset, because a lot of times they stand as a blockage to something wonderful. because it doesn't really make sense for you to let go of something good because of age, right? There is something about that doesn't sound right because of age. Like, do you want what is good or not? And some people will go for a man simply because he's older, and then they wind up being miserable sometimes, or just being cordial to each other. Nothing, no spark, nothing. It's just meh. When you could have had it all with a man that was younger. Of course, there's also the problem, which I understand in traditional societies, there's also the problem of what people will say, which might not be much of an issue, but it could become a problem with the guy's family. I remember watching a movie, a Nigerian movie, when I was still subscribing to this movie apps that, you can go there, pay a subscription, but I'm not in that zone right now, so you pay for a subscription and then you have access to all the movies. So at times it's like you having your own cinema right on your phone, because there are some movies obviously that wouldn't be in public view until maybe 5 years after they have been released. So it's only for exclusive, and that is fine, really, so that the people can get their money back, the money they've invested in it. There is no guarantee that if they put it in public, there'll be enough views to pay the bills. So they might as well just go through the proper route of you pay before you watch, and then when people stop paying for it or something, then you might now put it out there for the bigger audience, and then you get more views and get paid in the process sometimes. But that's by the way. So I watched this movie. It was an older woman, like really older woman. She's in her 50s, and an accomplished woman, obviously, doctor, everything. But she's a widower. Oh, rather a widow. A man is a widower. She's a widow, and she met this younger man who, obviously, it's usually here is the thing about younger men, is that they are the ones who are always doing the pursuing. So when people say things, oh yeah, I understand there is the sugar baby, the what is it called now? The sugar mommy syndrome going on, where women actively go after younger men just for sex. So obviously they will not go for the accomplished men, the career guy. They will go for one jobless dude out there who his only market is his fine face and his muscular physique and all of that. So they go after men like that, and the main purpose is just for sex. It's nothing, no relationship. I'm not talking about that one, please. I'm talking about relationship where you interact, you go out, you eat, you talk, you have fun outside the house, right? Just like you do a honorable normal date. Oh Lord, I can't believe I have to even explain that. Oh yeah. But that's how you have it, where you're not doing anything. You're not having a torrid affair. No, you're having a relationship. In fact, it's a friendship actually. So she started this friendship, or he rather started this friendship. It was an accident of some sort. He harmed himself. I can't remember how that happened, and so she treated him. And he got better, and he kept in contact with her. He would take her out. Now this is a guy that has his house. He's not 30 yet. I think maybe he's about almost 30, maybe 28 thereabout. And he had this girlfriend that was just, very, very very nasty girl, his age group, if you may. So he was kind of tired of her, as it were. So he had already said, look, I'm done. I'm not doing it again. And then he met this woman, this older woman. And when he asked for a relationship, she said, do you realize, I mean, she was a little embarrassed, right? Because this is a man that she was old enough to be his mother. It was that simple. It turned out later in the movie that she was actually a friend of his mom. Yes. When she found out, though, the mom was coming to come and tell off the older woman that is running after her son. I'm like, why are people like this? Why are people like this? I don't understand. Wait. And then when she found out it was her friend, she still went ahead and said, well, you know how it is. I'm not comfortable with this. And obviously she's had doubts already. I mean, she's older. Look, relationship between an older woman and a younger man is usually for women who are not obviously pursuing that. It just happened to them. That was not what they were seeking. In fact, they were not even seeking a relationship. It just happened to them. So they were just friends with this young chap doing well for himself that just will not leave them alone. And he's the one paying for the outings they go to. Not cheap outings at that. You get my drift. So he's the one wooing her. And she was afraid that this thing is sweet now. If it now becomes official, that is when Kasala will burst. And that was what happened. When it became official, because he put a ring on it. And if you see that ring, I'm like, Jesus. The bling is blinging. The bling was blinging. Like, it was one hefty looking rock. Like that he gave her. It wasn't like I said, the guy had money. He's from a well-to-do family. He has his own business and he's doing well there. He already owns a house. He owns a car. So he's doing well. He proposed. And his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, went to Tatafo to the mother. And then the mother came raging. Who is that older woman? That old woman? That Agbaya that is after her son. And she was vibrating. I'm like, your education, please. Man. When it comes to you, no, madam. You are not schooled at all. Because I look at myself, but it taught me one thing. Because every time I watch movies, I always look at myself like, if I was in this situation, how would I feel? Now, if I was in the situation of the mother, and then my son comes, and I hear a rumor, you will hear, that my son is going out with somebody who is my age mate or even a bit older than me, although, frankly speaking, at this age right now, but someone who is old enough to be his mother, maybe not my age mate exactly. How will I feel about it? Having seen for myself the kind of love that can happen between two people, despite the age differences, I would just want to know, do you love my son? Why do you want to be with my son? Out of all the men you could be with, why him? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. And if he's happy, and it brings her home, and say, Mommy, if you raise your son well, what are you worried about? As a woman, what are you worried about? If you raise your son well, right? But that's how the mother came. And of course, she knew. She tried to, get her son. And her son was like, because the woman already told him that, look, if this thing gets out, I don't want to do this. It's not that I don't like you. That I don't have feelings for you. That's not the issue. The issue is I cannot handle the pressure from outside against this relationship. I can't. Like, I can't handle it. It's going to be a very shameful thing. I mean, the girlfriend went and to her house, or is it her office right now, and went to yell, "Old woman, leave my boyfriend alone." Yeah. For a woman like that who has always kept to herself, it was an embarrassing moment for her. But that woman collect. The guy went to her and said, "Never you in your life. I don't want to hear that you move close to her. You hear me? In fact, if you know she's in the area, don't be there." He went and gave her a stand warning before apologizing, because he knows what he went through to even get her to agree to date him. Then the mother came, and it's not just anybody. They were friends way back, and it so happened that she can't have children. Of course, at the age of 50 something, most women are already in their menopause. But for her, she never had children. All the time she was married to her husband, it was a constant war with the family of her husband. But her husband stayed true. They didn't have children. And she told the guy, said she can't have children. And he said, well, they will adopt. And that is one thing I admire about younger men in their 20s. They are very, very flexible in their thinking a lot of times. Especially if they are approaching an older woman. When they are approaching an older woman, the good ones, who are not talking about the scammers among them, the good ones, they are not expecting you to be cooking for them. I mean, they would know that obviously you want to do that, but they're not expecting you to be their domestic help. They respect you for who you are as a woman, but they also see you beyond. They see you as a woman they want to spend their life with, but they also recognize the fact that you are maybe not a senior citizen, but Igimujin or Soju kind of situation. And for those who are not Yoruba, what that means is, like, they know that you are an older person, so they give you that respect. So they're not expecting you to clean up after them or something. No. They're expecting that they share their life with you, where you either hire people, or you already have people that you have hired to do the job, or you just do it together. Gender roles out of the window in most situations like that. If the guy has a good heart and he's coming to you with genuine intentions, and usually they're very, very flexible. It's when you get older that you now become more inflexible, you become rigid and feel that if it's not done this way, no other way. They are younger, they have more, their orientation is a relaxed thing that, look, I want to be with you, and I'm not going to allow the issue of child or no child get between us. We'll adopt children. So all the concerns she had, he just dismissed them. Not dismiss them like overlook them, but made them so simple that it began to sound ridiculous, even for an excuse. When the mother tried to get him, the mother said, "No, please." The guy said, "No, mother, I understand. I made up my mind. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm man enough to pick the woman I want to be with." So she knew that the only place she can go to is to shame the woman. And that was her intention. She went there, and then she saw him and saw her. And she couldn't talk much because this was a woman who was a family friend before they lost contact with one another. And, obviously, she was practically present when the man was born. Practically. So she said, "Look, I don't want to make things difficult for you, but this can't happen. He won't listen to me, so I'm expecting that you leave him alone." I disliked the guy's mother at that time. I disliked her. Like, if you know her so well, what's the problem? Do you understand? Like, what's the problem? Like, what a reunion, right? If someone is your friend, why is it such a problem that unbeknownst to her, she's about to marry your son? It's a bit weird, I understand, but to go outrightly and kick against it is just not. So those are some of the problems, and they're like, look, I don't want to face the family issue, having people booing you and stuff, but hey, you didn't live this long to be afraid of people's opinion. If the guy is willing to, and usually they are, if the man is willing to fight for you, the least you can do is support him. Unless you don't love him. And she already said she couldn't go through that already anyway. So when the mother of the man's mother came and respectfully, because she wanted to be rude before, but when she saw that this one self, even though we are mates, we are not mates. When it comes to level, the woman is a class on her own. But she's very humble about it and very sweet, And she said, look, this can't work and all that. And at that point, I knew this relationship was over. Not because the man wanted it to be over, but because the woman could not, she just could not. And I was like, what kind of mental block is that one? I don't get it. I don't understand. I guess it gets a bit more personal when you know the person. And how is it going to sound like you're going to marry your friend's son? Although, frankly speaking, I can't say they are friends because they haven't been in contact for over 20 years. So what kind of friendship is that? It was okay while it lasted, but that was about it. I mean, she tried to say that she wanted grandchildren, and they both know. That was the path she came from. And I thought it was cruel to use somebody's pain as a reason to cut off a relationship that was looking beautiful. I said, look, I want grandchildren. And we both know that is not even, so, and of course, because she loved him, she wanted him to have children too, right? She wanted him to have things that she cannot have with him. And so she broke up with him. Oh Lord. The look on that guy's face was heartbreaking. He was like, don't you love me? I thought you loved me. And he was like, no, it's not that I don't love you. I just can't handle this. Boy, the guy was almost crying. I felt really sorry for him. But some mothers don't really care about their children's feelings. They just want what they want. There are just some things you concede to when you claim you love your children. Like age is the problem. It's not that you have a problem with the woman's character. It's the age. You're not even looking at this person who makes your son happy. You've not seen your son this happy and committed in a while. Instead of you to be jubilating, especially if you claim to know the woman. No. So I understand that these are some of the problems. But as a woman, you have to be strong and stay true to what you want in life. So that because sometimes what you want and what you need would come as a price. It might not just be something that will fall on your laps like that. It might be something you have to fight for. It might be something you have to fight for. And it's worth fighting for if the man is fighting alongside you. I mean, even if he's not matured enough, see that process of fighting for what he wants. Wherever else he needs to grow, he grows from that experience of fighting to stay with you. And naturally, men don't like things that come to them cheaply. Naturally and generally. Not all There are exceptions, of course, but men like when they fight for something. So the fact that he's fighting for you means that your relationship will last, because even if you have issues in the future, he will just remember what he went through. Before you two can be together, you'll be like, we have to work this thing out. It's either we work it out or we work it out. It's either we work it out or we work it out. It's either he works or he works. Do you understand? Because he thinks about what he put into it. And that's why in some cultures, you don't see them divorcing that easily. Because the investment, look, it's like the Igbo culture. People say a lot of things about the Igbo culture, the marrying culture. I don't fault it though. Personally, I don't fault it. Not at all. You know why I don't fault it? There are so many reasons. Number one, like I said, men often appreciate more the things they fight for. They appreciate more the things they sacrifice for. They appreciate things they invest in more. And I believe the Igbo culture understands that concept. So they built a culture around that where you pay practically through your nose to get a bride. Because they understand that it's a patriarchal, and I think they did it. No, I don't think. I believe it's done to also protect the women. You can't easily divorce a woman you invested, like you poured in your wealth into. You paid this, paid that, paid this, paid that. You can't easily. So as a man, even when you want to show yourself as the man, you just become the bigger person and calm down, because you remember all the things and you are like, you can't do this all over again. You get. You just think that you have to do it all over again. So you do your best. No, I'm not saying that it works all the time. Because I think that is just the idea. That doesn't mean the man will treat the woman better. But at the same time, the Igbo culture, they don't abandon their daughters either. If you do anyhow, they will take their daughter from you. So they didn't sell their daughter. They are saying, show us that you can take care of her. Oton. And of course, you have to invest in all the groups in the community. People who don't understand the dynamics of how a man thinks and the dynamics of the society, they are doing it to protect their daughters. Because, like it or not, it's still a patriarchal society. So if the man gets the woman cheaply, in quotes, because you don't sell your daughter, I'm not saying enforce bride price in your own case, but I'm saying if he just gets her like that, he can just leave her like that. How about that? It didn't cost him anything. What did it cost him to get the woman? No sacrifice, no investment, nothing. He just got her like that. And some people wonder why marriages are crashing. There are so many reasons why marriages are crashing, but this is one of it. Where a man does nothing. There is a culture in Nigeria where for you to prove you are a man, you have to be publicly flogged 1,000 times without flinching, without crying, without fainting or anything. You will collect horse whip. Not that horse whip, the one that when they trash it on somebody, it will wrap around you 2-3 times before the thing unfolds again. So one lash goes around the body like 2 times at the same time. So that is how you prove that you're a man. So when you go through that process, you are entitled, if she wants, you are entitled to the most beautiful girl in the community. So there are these cultures are put in place to make sure that despite the fact that there is a patriarchal system, the women are also protected. So a man who invested heavily in marrying his bride and knowing that if he mistreats her, the family of the girl has the right to take her back and dissolve the marriage. Yes. So he will behave himself. He will be the bigger person in that marriage. He will be the patient one, the loving one. So sometimes it is these sacrifices and these investments that make men grow and be more, how will I put it now? Grow and mature more. The worst that can happen is that he matures and then he now finds that he's not that interested again. That's the worst that can happen, but it doesn't always happen that way. It's like the desire to be with that woman is stronger. Like after all I've been through, this must work. So the two major myths or misconceptions of younger men is immaturity and family resistance, family and societal resistance. There's also the issue of how do you respect a man that is younger than you? If you need age to respect somebody, then maybe you are the immature person here. How about that? You're supposed to respect everybody. Minus age. Age is not a factor. You are supposed to respect everybody. How will he? No, if she's older, she will not. Now that's what the society would say. But that may not be true in your case. A woman who disrespects her husband is disrespecting herself. It's that simple. A man who disrespects, just like a man who disrespects his wife, is a man who obviously has no self-esteem at all. Forget low. He doesn't even have it. There is a way a man would treat a woman, not because of who she is, but because of who he is. He treats a woman the way he is. So if he is a person that respects himself, that honors himself, that has integrity, he will treat a woman well. Same thing with a woman. If you see yourself as a queen, you will treat the man you choose. You chose him. They didn't choose him for you. You chose him. You will respect him as a king. I'm not saying bow to him, because if you understand the royal dynamics, in some cultures, maybe not all cultures obviously, but in some cultures, the only one that would not bow to the king is his mother and his wife. They are exempted from that obeisance. Not all cultures, but there are some like that. They're exempted from that because they see, in that culture, they see the women as equals, not exactly sharing the authority of the throne, but at least a partner. So a partner does not bow to that sort of thing. But in most cultures, the woman will bow almost as everybody else, but not as low as everybody, if you get my drift. So when I say king, I don't mean rolling on the floor, no. But you see him as with the same respect that you expect, the same respect and honor that you think you deserve is what you will give the man, because you chose him. So if he's not worthy of your respect, then maybe what you are looking for is a toy boy. So this conversation is not for you. You just left the group chats. We're talking about those who want to build a legacy, build a family. You don't build a family and a legacy with somebody you look down on, do you? You build a legacy with somebody you look up to them in some ways. As they also look up to you in some ways. So you have this relationship where you look up to each other. So if you are going to be throwing around the I'm older than you thing, then like I said, you just left the group chat. We're not talking to you. We're talking to those who have respect for people. And age is not a factor. But the only reason they won't do it is because of the fear of the backlash. And the fact that maybe the guy is not on their level intellectually. All right. I will have to stop here. I'm sorry for taking this long, but yeah, maybe I will do a short version of it later. I don't know. But God has not given you the spirit of fear. He hasn't. But He has given you the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So obviously, you could get in your way of love if you are afraid of things, society, misconception, and so on. Shalom.